welcome to our webinar, and good morning to all of you who are already connected. I hope you can hear me well. I'm Francesca Tamburrini, and I am a EU Project Officer at EHPA, which is the European Heat Pump Association. The event of today is What's You Up? European Heating and Cooling Legislation Impacting Local and Regional Authorities, which is co-organized by EHPA and also Energy Cities. And we have here a representative that I'm going to introduce you soon. And this webinar is part of a series of the Hub Fossil-Free District and Buildings, which is a community space led by Energy Cities, which has the willingness to coordinate efforts to communities to improve the financial, technical, and the human capacities for cities. And it's also representing a very good opportunity to explore local and national legislation, as well public action to trigger the energy systems decarbonization. Indeed, as we are going to do today, we will deep dive into the legislative aspects and concrete examples as well, together with different experts of the sectors. But before saying more about the webinar, just let me show you quickly the agenda of today. So, okay, now we are going through the introduction of the webinar by me. Then we will start with the 4 presentation of our 4 amazing speakers that are together with us today. We will start with Emil Martini. He's from European Geothermal Energy Council. Then we will have Mélanie Bourgeois from Energy Cities. And these 2 first speakers are coming from the consortium of Ready for Heat. Then we will have 2 presentations, from one from Vlatko Kovacic from the city of Karlovac and Geothermica. And then we will close with Chrysanti Kiskini from the Regional Development Fund of Central Macedonia. After that, we will go in the panel discussion. So we will have some time to answer your question. Indeed, if you have questions, just feel free to add them in the chat. And then we will go toward the closing of the event at 11:30. Just some very short information about the technical part. So you will be able, if you want, to write a question in the chat. Just if you have specific questions for the speaker, feel free to tag in the person you are referring to. And of course, we are going to take care of them, and we are going to raise them. But before starting, as I mentioned it before, this event is organized in the framework of the EU-funded project Ready for Heat, which is funded under the LIFE program, which this project officially started in October 2022. And it will run for 3 years. And the aim of the project is mainly to support the implementation of RED provisions on heating and cooling, and also to assist member states and the local authorities in that process. How is going to do that? By providing a better understanding of the shortcomings in the current strategies, and also proposing to address them with a set of recommendations, which will probably include strategic policy priorities for heating and cooling, policy adoption scenarios, best practices. This action will be, of course, complemented also by some capacity building events that we are going to organize in the 5 target member states, and also through the development of knowledge sharing platforms that we are going to launch in 2024. And by the provision of toolboxes for the public authorities, both at national, regional, and local level. This work will, of course, carry out by the partners of the consortium, which are coming from the representation of National Energy Agency, Renewable Heating and Cooling Trade Association, and also a network of local authorities and energy consultants. But to go directly to the content of today's webinar, so this event wants to provide an update of 2 important directives, which are included under the Fit for 55 legislative package. that have been maybe, as you know, revised recently. So we are speaking about the Renewable Energy Directive and the Energy Efficiency Directive, which are a tool to set a pathway for a gradual increase of renewable in heating and cooling. So we are going to deep dive in the changes and what they will imply for member states. Looking at the big picture, we want also to spotlight local and regional examples of the initiatives and actions that will be taken at those levels, because we know that with heating and cooling, demand is decentralized, and it's important for this reason to address both the strategies that are at the local level and those that will be implemented at the national one. So the aim of the webinar is also to showcase a practical example, and we wanted to involve critical stakeholders, so not coming only from the industries, but in that case, it's coming from the local authorities and the energy field. And for this reason, the last two presentations, you will have the possibility of hearing a couple of examples of winning strategies at local level, deriving from the expertise and the understanding of policy, regulation, knowledge about the market, consumers' needs, behavioral change, and this will all brought by the representative of the cities of a Croatian city and the last speaker from the Regional Development Fund of Central Macedonia. I think that I've already spoke too much, so let's start now with our first speaker, and I will introduce you, Emil Martini. So he's a policy associate at the EGEC. He holds a Master of Law in the EU Law, and is coming from the College of Europe, and a Master degree in Law in the University of Trento. In the past year, he experienced a Brussels-based consultant in the EU law and policy has led him to focus his lobbying activities on topics such as the Green Deal initiative and the Fit for 55 package. Moreover, he has worked in several EU-funded projects, mostly under the Horizon 2020 program and the LIFE, dealing with energy transition, decarbonization policies, and building renovation. He joined EGEC in 2022, and among others, he's now in charge of the monitoring and the promotion of EGEC members of the EU funding opportunities of renewable energy. So thank you very much, Emil, for joining us. If you want to take control of the presentation, you should be able. So you have the control of the slides. Otherwise, I can change them for you. Okay, great.
Okay. Thank you very much, Francesca, for the introduction. Okay, so the slides works. Thank you, everybody, for participating to this webinar. So as said in this introduction, the main objective of today will be to present the novelties linked to some important directives that were revised at EU level. So I will have the objective to start presenting you the main updates on the Renewable Energy Directive, novelties that are quite interesting, especially for local and regional authorities. But maybe before going into the specificities of this directive, let's have a step back to introduce briefly what has been what the European Union has been doing in the last years in terms of policies linked to renewable energy. So it all started off with the launch of the European Green Deal, which was approved in 2020. And this initiative was a set of policy initiatives with the aim of making the EU climate neutral in 2050. This is a very big objective, which is going to need a lot of revision of several pieces of legislation. This is why the EU legislator has launched the Fit for 55 package initiative with the aim of specifically revise some key directives, such as the Renewable Energy Directive the Energy Efficiency Directive, which Melanie will tell you more in a couple of minutes, and the Energy Performance of Building Directive. So the last one of this pieces of legislation is still under discussion at EU level, while the first two were already revised. And overall, the big objective of this package of legislation is also to have a 2030 target, which is to reduce of 55% the emission compared to 1990 levels. Then, as a last step, in May of last year, the European Union launched also another initiative, which is called Repower EU, as a sort of response to the hardship and global energy market disruption caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And the idea was to try to already readjust some of the objectives as the revision of this legislation was still in place, but also to have a further push in terms of financing, as you can see on the slide, for several companies around Europe dealing with energy and renewables, and also in terms of plants and energy renovation in all member states. So as a first step, I'll try to explain you briefly what are the big new objectives that are set in the Renewable Energy Directive. As we can see, we have some overall broad objective. The most important one, the big one, is the overall binding target for 2030 in terms of renewable energy sources. So the idea is to have a binding 42.5% and an indicative 45% increase. And the terms of reference is that member states shall collectively ensure that the share of energy from renewable sources in the Union's gross final consumption of energy in 2030 will be 42.5%. Another big objective is the one that regards heating and cooling from renewable sources, which is another binding targets. So before this revision, the target, we had an indicative target. So it's very important that now the target it's binding. And member states should increase the share annually by at least 0.8 percentage points for the period 2021-2025, and at least 1.1% as an average calculated for the period 2026 and 2030. Then some other sectoral targets, just to give you an idea. There are some targets that specifically relate to district heating and cooling, with an indicative 2.2% point increase annually, and a target on mainstreaming renewable energy in buildings. This is an indicative target, but the idea is to have a common EU target in order to have 49% renewable energy in the building sector by 2030, and also a target in industry as indicative increase of renewables in the industrial sector should be of at least 1.6% as our average calculated for the periods 2021, 2025, and 2026 to 2030. And then, of course, it's important to see how the Commission and the EU legislators see the way through to have this objective. And so throughout the directive, there are some measures, some disposition, which specifically mention also the key measures that should be taken at national level, which sometimes also involve local and regional authorities. Specifically, there is an article that says that member states shall endeavor to implement at least two of the following measures, and they follow a big list of 12 measures. The big novelty is that now it's mandatory for member state to at least implement 2 of the listed measures. Here I put some of them, which I think are quite important, also considering our audience. Already the EU legislator takes into account the importance of the action of local and regional authorities. So if you for example, point H, its requirements at local and regional level concerning renewable heating planning and encompassing cooling, but also, for example, letter D as regards capacity building for national, regional, and local authority to map local renewable heating and cooling potential and plan that we will see in a while. And then also some more specific measure which regards, for example, the creation of risk mitigation frameworks, the promotion of renewable heating and cooling purchase agreements, and the promotion of renewable-based district heating and cooling networks. So now we will see more specifically which are the provision that's going to impact more regional and local authorities. And the focus I will make for as regards this directive will be specifically the provision on permitting. So a big novelty that was put in this directive is the creation of what they call renewable go-to areas. So renewable, the idea of renewable go-to areas is this path in 2 steps. So step 1 will be for each country within 18 months from the official approval of the RED directive, which was approved more or less 1 month ago. So the idea is to map some areas that are necessary for national contribution towards 2030 renewable energy targets. And as a second step, adopt a plan or plans designating these specific renewable go-to areas that we will see in a while what they're all about. So the idea of mapping areas is that member states should take into account several conditions. So, for example, the availability of renewable energy sources in a specific area and the potential for renewable energy production of the different technologies in land, sea, and subsurface area. Then the projected energy demand of a specific area, taking into account the potential flexibility of the active demand response, and the availability of relevant energy infrastructure, including grid storage and other flexibility tools. So when considering this mapping, maybe the first question that we can pose ourselves, and that will be linked also to the implementation of this directive in practice, is first of all, which authorities at member state level are gonna decide on that, and specifically how big and how comprehensive should these areas be. This is not clear yet, and it will probably depend a lot on the implementation side. The second step is, as I was saying, once we have this mapping of areas, to adopt a plan or several plans to designate these areas. So in those plans, what member states should do is to designate sufficiently homogeneous land, inland, water, and seas areas where the development of specific type of renewables is not expected to have significant environmental effects in view of particularities of the selected territory, and then establish appropriate rules for designated renewable acceleration area, including an effective mitigation measure to be adopted for the installation of renewable energy plants, co-located energy storage facility, as well as assets necessary for the connection to the grid, in order to avoid, and if not possible, to significantly reduce the negative environmental impacts that may arise. And the goal of that is to have then specific rules within these areas as regards, for example, permitting granting processes, that should not take longer than 1 year for renewable projects, and 2 years, for example, for offshore renewable projects, with some exemptions that are listed in the legislation. Another example is shorter deadline of 6 months for areas already designated as suitable for accelerated renewable deployment. Another example is for the repowering of plants with an electrical capacity of less than 150 kilowatt. The process should be limited to 6 months and 1 year if they concern offshore. Other specific norms regard, for example, the permission for heat pumps. And for outside these go-to areas, the permit process should not exceed 2 years and 3 years for offshore renewable projects, and the time also during which the plants are being built and repowered should not be counted with this deadline. So the idea is to have an overall reduction of the time due to have permitting. Then there are some other specific rules targeting local and regional authorities as regards, for example, putting strong incentives on digitalization aspects and also skills and how to deal with the need of new workforce in the following years. And there is also the concept of overriding public interest, because this project should be considered as overriding public interest. That way, in the balance of other interest at public level, they should have the precedence. So I hope it was more or less clear which are the main news linked to that. But already now, and this can be maybe discussed later on in the Q&A session, there are a lot of questions that can be posed at this stage, in the sense that maybe the provision can be quite clear in what they ask, but they're still quite general, and a lot will depend on the implementation side and also on the capabilities at member state level, regional level, and local level to reach so. For example, some clear deadlines are put at on the legislative side. For example, the deadline for the mapping will be more or less May 2025, and the deadline for having these plans would be February 2026. And the big question would be, is this time enough to set off these plans, given also the fact that it's not clear how these areas should be met in terms of comprehensiveness and in terms of geography. And another thing is maybe having the right capacity, skill, and knowledge at the different stages, at the different level of governance. So maybe this will be also a question that could be asked around, and to have a fruitful discussion in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emil. I think it's very important, to have an overview of the new targets and the new key measures, and also to understand what are the next steps actually that the member states will need to take. And thank you also for raising the questions. I just want to remind to the audience that of course they can use the chat to answer already, to share their inputs and their ideas, and we will of course also come back to the points during the panel discussion. But now I am happy to introduce you our next speaker. She's Melanie Bourgeois, and is working on EU policies at Energy Cities. Her main topics are decarbonization of the building sectors, multi-level governance, and resource-wise economies. She works with cities and EU institutions and partners on a daily basis. Melanie, as a background, is graduated of the European and International Careers Master degree at Sciences Po Lille. And Melanie, if you want to take control of the presentation, the floor is yours. Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your introduction. So indeed, I'm working at Energy Cities, that is a network of cities. So we have members all around Europe and that are committed to the energy transition. So we work with them on different topics, including the built environment, decarbonizing heating and cooling, and buildings in general. But today I'm here to talk with you about what is new in the Energy Efficiency Directive regarding heating and cooling. So the Energy Efficiency Directive, the EED, was part of was proposed. A new version was proposed by the European Commission in July 2021 as part of the Fit for 51 package. Then we have been through negotiations in 2022, 2023 to arrive to finally final agreement. In July 2023, the text was voted, and then it was published in September and entered into force in October this year. So now member states have 2 years for transposition and implementation of the text. In the general objective of the new energy efficiency directive version, we have some very key component. First, we have an energy efficiency target that has been increased. So we have now 11.7% as an objective. That is compared to the 2020 EU reference scenario. So it's much more ambitious because it refers to this scenario. We also have new annual rate of energy saving for member states. This is at the member states level, but we also have new requirements of renovation for the total floor area of central government buildings. That has been extended to all public bodies, and also a new energy use of public bodies objective. So to decrease this energy use of 1.9% each year. So these two objectives that are concerning public bodies are also concerning not only central government, but also local and regional public bodies. And finally, we have two provision on heating and cooling that have been fully amended, and today I will go through this with you through the Article 25 that is on planning of heating and cooling, and the Article 26 that is on supply and mainly on district heating. So I will start with the Article 25 on heating and cooling assessment and planning. So we have two different interesting components. First, one goal of the revision of this article was to strengthen the national planning. So we have the national comprehensive heating and cooling assessment that member states had to do before already, that now have been strengthened. And to do so, the Commission proposed that these plans that member states have to do are integrated with national energy and climate plans. So these are the plans that member states have to submit, and that they are submitting right now a revised version, an updated version. So it's about explaining how they plan to meet the 2030 targets. So now the National Comprehensive Heating and Cooling Assessment Plan will have to be aligned or to be integrated with the NECPs. Member states still need to conduct cost-benefit analysis as they had to do before on heating and cooling. But now, in addition, they need to designate a competent authority that will have to carry this analysis. This article also provides more emphasis on cogeneration, on waste heat and district heating. And there is also a call to action, because this new article and this new EED in general mandate member states to take measures, to take action on the potentials that are identified in the comprehensive heating and cooling assessment and in the cost-benefit analysis, and need to be reported in the NECPs, this different action. So what is new here is what is not new is that it's still the same tools, but what is new is that we try to strengthen the implementations aspects of this planning. What is really new in this Article 25 is this new provision to have local heating and cooling planning. So this new article mandate member states to ensure that local authorities, and especially it's mentioned municipalities above 45,000 inhabitants, have to conduct local heating and cooling plans. There is also an obligation for member states to support local authorities with technical and financial support, and to do so to the utmost extent. At Energy Cities, we were very happy that this support provision is included in the energy in this article of the EED, because we believe that it's ambitious to have local heating and cooling planning for all municipalities of this size, but we also need this support from member states to ensure that municipalities can actually draft this, that they have the skills to draft this local heating and cooling plan, and that we have sound and implementation ready plan. The article also mentioned that this plan, this new plan, should be aligned with what already exists, local climate and energy or environment planning, because we aim to avoid any further administrative burden. So if local authorities are already doing similar plan, we should not add another layer. I mean, this is the spirit of this article. It also details what this plan should contain. So in this plan, we should find an estimate, a mapping, a strategy for increase the efficiency of the renewable share for heating and energy for cooling. So we have to find this this objective and this strategy. We have to have an analysis of what is already existing today in terms of heating and cooling appliances and system in buildings, a trajectory to achieve the goals in line with climate neutrality. So the goal here is really to reduce the consumption of fossil fuel and increase renewables and efficiency of the system in place, and a plan to finance, so policies and measures to finance this plan and in the end to implement these plans. This article also mentioned the way this planning should be made, and it precise that it should, in the process of drafting, involve all relevant regional and local stakeholders, including the general public. So we have a new provision on local heating and cooling planning that is very key and is detailing what should be in this local heating and cooling plan. At Energy Cities, we wonder what is already done in the different countries. So we developed a EU tracker on local heating and cooling plan. The goal is to have a state of play in each EU member states to know what exists in terms of legislative framework. So is there already an obligation for member states to do heating and cooling planning, or for local authorities, or an incentive to do so? And in terms of support frameworks, do they receive technical guidelines? Do they receive financial support? Do they have a good access to data? Do they have finance for this plan? Do they have staff to make these plans? So we looked at it, and you can find on our website, that I can share in the chat, an EU analysis of in general the state of play, and one fact sheet per country, where you can see the situation in each country. In general, we see quite a lot of red in this map. So clearly a lot of countries are not ready. But in each of these countries, we can also see that things are moving on. We have some countries, like especially the Nordic one, that are historically very good in local planning. We also have countries that recently started this local planning, like in the Netherlands or in Germany, also in Luxembourg, We have in Belgium, in Flanders, we have some new legislation on local heating and cooling planning. So things are moving, but indeed we need for the implementation of this article of the EED on local heating and cooling planning, we need to make things moving faster. So that was for the Article 25 on planning. Now I will explain what is new in the Energy Efficiency Directive regarding heating and cooling supply. So the main feature of this article, that is now Article 26, is that we have a new and improved definition of efficient district heating system. So the idea of this new definition is that it's based on a percentage of renewable energy of waste heat of high efficiency cogeneration that is used over a various time frame. So in this graph that I borrowed to the Euro Heat and Power Association, you can see the timeline and at the different dates, what is the definition of district heating, an efficient district heating system. And you can see that it's changing over time. So in 2045, an efficient district heating will be one that contains 75% of renewables or waste heat or waste heat, for example. What is also quite ambitious with this article is that newly built or refurbished district heating system should not use fossil fuels except natural gas until 2030. We also have the new requirement for district heating system of a certain size, so above 5 megawatt, to develop plans for improving energy efficiency and incorporating renewables and waste heat. So the big district heating system will have to make a plan for this. In general, this article also has a provision to encourage the use of waste heat from data center and require more installations to do cost-benefit analysis. So now also installation of thermal electricity generation, industrial installation, service facilities, and data centers have to do this cost-benefit analysis. What we can see with this Article 26 in general is that there is a clear signal to recognize district heating and cooling as a key tool to decarbonize European heating and cooling, and it clearly emphasizes also the importance of waste heat in this framework. If you have to remember a few things of this presentation on the new Energy Efficiency Directive, is that there is a new requirement to align the comprehensive heating and cooling assessment with the National Energy and Climate Plan, which should make the national framework a bit more aligned and logic and comprehensive. There is a new requirement for local authorities above 45,000 inhabitants to do local heating and cooling planning. This is of great concern for our audience today. There are also new efficiency criteria for district heating network, and there is a strong consideration for waste heat. What we in the Ready for Heat consortium evaluated as challenges ahead for the implementation of this new energy efficiency directive is that there is a skills and capacity gap that we really need to overcome this challenge for public authority to achieve the targets that are evaluated, that are set here, but also to conduct this plan. That we will need a good legislative framework, but also a good support framework for municipalities to be able to develop this plan. And one risk is that there is a large margin of maneuver for member states to interpret this text when they have to transpose it, because there is still some lack of precision on some exceptions, criteria, and timeline. But I would be very happy to discuss the challenges with the audience today to know what you think is the most challenging if you are already doing some of these measures in your cities, and to discuss with you especially the district heating and the local heating and cooling plans provisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melanie, for your presentation. I think that, yeah, we are seeing a lot of increasing in the targets. We are becoming more and more ambitious. They are strengthening both the national authorities, but also we are seeing that there is a stronger focus on the local heating and cooling planning. So this is very, very positive. Yeah, as you said, there is still a lot of work to do, but we are seeing the things moving. So yeah, just we can keep this good sentence to close your presentation and to move on with our next speaker. And I'm happy to present Vlatko Kovacic. And sorry if I mispronounce your name or surname. It's a pleasure to have you here. So Vlatko is an experienced legal professional with a strong track record of service in different roles. He is currently working as a senior legal counsel for the city of Karlovac, where he's contributing for the past 6 years. His primary responsibilities include providing legal guidance to the city administration and the council. And prior to that, he held the position of head of general affairs in the city of Karlovac for 1 year, where he was managing the general administrative matters within the city. Additionally, he's also the director of Geothermical, where he has been leading efforts to research and harness geothermal energy in the Karlovac region for over 5 years. And in the realm of public utilities, he worked as the secretary of the supervisory board, both for Vodovod I Kanalizskaya and Karlovac and Čisto. Thanks, where he was providing legal counsel and managing relevant documents for over 4 years. His previous experience also include a significant role as the director of the Emergency Medicine Institute at the Karlovac country. And he has a strong background in the financial operation, negotiation, and legal affairs from his time as a director. And yeah, he had a Master of Law in degree from the University of Zagreb, which has equipped him with the legal knowledge and the expertise which is necessary for all these diverse steps of his career. So we are happy to have you here, Vlatko. I know that you have a video that you would like to share. So if you want to, share it.
I will try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, it's hello to all. Nice to have you and to listen our project here in Karlovac. Thank you for introduction. I'm here in front of the city of Karlovac and city-owned company Geothermica, and it's cooperation for district heating, and we want to use geothermal water for district heating. Here is the short video. I hope that all you will see it, and I will continue with my presentation after this video. Okay, let's start.
Geotermalni izvori vrlo su važna prilika za grad Karlovac kako bi razvio novi sustav grijanja i proizvodnju električne energije, prvenstveno za javnu namjenu, ali i za druge svrhe. Svjesni potencijala geoterme, grad Karlovac je osnovao trgovačko društvo Geothermica za energetiku radi istraživanja i eksploatacije geotermalne vode za potrebe postojećeg toplinskog sustava te za proizvodnju električne energije za potrebe javnih objekata grada. S obzirom na lokaciju i postojanje centralnog toplinskog sustava u Karlovcu, korištenje geoterme u toplinske svrhe bilo bi u javnom interesu od kojega bi koristi u prvom redu imali građani. Energija dobivena na taj način ekološki je izuzetno prihvatljiva jer pri proizvodnji nema štetnih stakleničkih plinova, ukratko zelena Europa. Do danas je gradu Karlovcu i Geotermici odobreno financiranje projekta u vrijednosti 60.000 eura. Sredstvima je financirana važna pripremna dokumentacija. Uz EU sredstva, grad Karlovac je do sada u izradu potrebne dokumentacije uložio i vlastita sredstva u iznosu od skoro 2 milijuna kuna. U veljači 2022. Geotermika i partner grad Karlovac osigurali su bespovratna sredstva iz Norveškog fonda za sufinanciranje projekta za uređenje bušotinskog radnog prostora. Skoro 520.000 eura.
Nakon dobivene dozvole 2019. godine za istraživanje, tvrtka Geotermika zajedno sa gradom Karlovcem je započeo istraživanje geotermalnih potencijala okolice Karlovca. U ovom trenutku se radi na izradi glavnog izvedbenog projekta i radovi što su iza mene se odnose na izradu geomehaničkog elaborata za nosivost bušoćeg tornja koji će se nalaziti na ovoj lokaciji. Važno je reći da na ovoj lokaciji će se izraditi 3 plitke bušotine dubine 15 metara i te analize tla će biti u stvari dio geomehaničkog elaborata koji će biti potreban za ishođenje lokacijske dozvole. Nastavkom ovih radova vjerujemo do kraja godine da ćemo imati lokacijsku dozvolu za bušenje i izgradnju bušećeg tornja.
Radit ćemo i dalje intenzivno na ostvarenju i realizaciji ovog strateškog projekta za grad Karlovac i sve njegove stanovnike.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hope it worked.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
we are going
we
to
can
reshare.
continue with the presentation.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So take control, yeah?
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Great. In this video, it's rather old video. It's over 1 year old, and we have some updates, and I will show it through my presentation. As I said, there is this project underway in the city of Karlovac. Our partners is also city of Karlovac and local district company, also owned by city of Karlovac. And we are going together to have this geothermal energy as a source for district heating. We have also, as I said, we have this company. We have over 8,000 users. In the 8,000 users are households and private companies. So we can say that almost half citizens and companies are connected to this network, and hope in the next future that on this network we will have even more users. Here you can find these data. I want to present this one. Is very important for us because we recently renovated the whole pipeline network. It's over 24 kilometers long, so now it's a new one. So it's very good because there is no losses anymore, and it's better energy efficiency. And also because of the last year events and a few years ago, we have this problem with the energy. The prices are going up, and that's very. It's not good for the residents because of these bills and life costs are going up. And we want to have this renewable energy geothermal, who will be not cheaper, maybe. Now we don't know because we need to run some financial analysis. But we want to say that will be constant for the next years in coming. As I said in the video, that we can say that the solution is geothermal energy. Karlovac is one part of Pannonia Basin, and this Pannonia Basin is it's well known on its geothermal potential. So we are very close. We have near the city of Karlovac our location. We want to drill the geothermal well. It's around 6 kilometers away from the city of Karlovac, and we're expecting temperatures over 100 degrees. So it will be more than enough for the district heating. In this slide, you can see what's the geothermal energy. I don't need to say anymore. I like to say that the geothermal energy is the only real renewable energy because it's 24 hours a day, 36 all year round. So no night, no day, or even cold, even hot, the geothermal water is still here. Also, it's sustainable, and we want to forget it that in the district heating company we have now a natural gas, So we want to change this natural gas for the geothermal energy. And we want to finance this project through the European Union funds and also through the state funds. In Croatia, it's now not problem because we don't have any available funds for our project. And we hope in the next year that will be also changed. The money for the exploration and drilling is going to the state-owned agency, and they're doing their own research and drilling. And we, on the local basis, we just don't have the opportunity to take a part of these funds, and hope that will be changed next year, because a lot of local governments are doing their work like us to go with geothermal here in Croatia. And also it's very expensive for the local government. For example, city of Karlovac, it's around 50,000 citizens, and we have the almost 20 million euros of income every year for our finance in Karlovac. So it's not enough for doing like these expensive projects. So we're expecting for the state aid and the European funds aid. In the video, you heard about our plans. We are now on the 4th year of our exploration, and here in Croatia, we have a lot of public and states, agencies, ministries going through these documentations. So we finally finished the documentations, and we have this documentation ready for the first drill for our first geothermal well. And we hope that next year we will continue with drilling. So the next slide, it's about a project. It's underway. So it's financing with financed with this financial mechanism. It's from the Iceland, Norway, and Liechtenstein, and we got over 700,000 euros, and we need to put our money in it. So with this money, we will prepare this place where we put this drill equipment. So it's very important for us because it's one of the parts for building this geothermal well. So we hope that we will continue next year with drilling. What about this drilling and the depths and temperatures? I said that it will be over 100 degrees, and it's not much deep, these wells. We hope to go, not we hope, but we plan to go to 2,500 meters. So we hope that we will go with around 4 to 6 million euros for this geothermal well. And also with our colleagues from the district heating company, we are also planning to make the pipeline from the geothermal wells to the company for the heat exchanger, and then going to the consumers in the city of Karlovac. So we are in Karlovac, we are strongly and working on that. We just want to go the green and want to go with geothermal, because of the green agenda, and also because of the other project in city of Karlovac. We are always looking for renewable energy like solar, biomass, and so on. And next slide, there is some short financial analysis about this project cost. For us, it's in city of Karlovac, like I said, it's in 1 year, city can raise over 20 million euros. So it's not possible to invest only with city of Karlovac. We hope to have the opportunity to go with European funds or state funds. And also with this investment, we can change the energy from gas to geothermal. And it's for the long periods. We were because we were in this project with partners in Iceland, and we saw the drills going from 60th year of the last century. So we hope that our project will go for over 50 years and more. So it's like we say, it's like project for the generations, and hope we will make it in the next few years. And for the conclusion, here's my contacts. We also have a webpage. You can find other information about the project. And next time here we will go with works in the field. So we will have new photos, new activities. So we will be happy to present our activities in the next sessions next year. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for your notice, and I'm here available for your questions. And so thank you.
Thank you very much, Vlatko, for showing us the video, which was really interesting, and also for sharing the experience coming from city. Is good to see actually in a practical way what cities are doing and in which kind of project they are involved. And and that they are actually taking responsibilities by implementing renewable energy solution in their plans. So really many thanks.
Yes, and sorry for interruption.
Go.
We in Croatia we have this for the documentation. We almost working over 2 years now, 3 years only for the papers. So here is a lot of green projects, and every project must go through the ministry, and there is a narrow road for all projects. So we need to wait for 6 to even 9 months for the one paper for allowance to go further steps. So here is a rather problem, and also the financing. So I want to say that here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, these are critical aspects. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, it's
thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you really for sharing everything. And I'm happy now to move to our last but not least speakers. So we have with us Chrysanthi Kiskini. She holds a degree of architecture from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki in Greece, and also a master in the environment and energy studies from the Architectural Association in London. She is the director of the Regional Development Fund of Central Macedonia, and which is actually an institution born in 1997 is supervised by the Ministry of Interior, is a private law legal entity, and is administered by the 9-member management board. The president of the board is also the governor of Central Macedonia, and the center is supporting the development process in the region of Central Macedonia. Ms. Kiskini has over 15 years of experience in the submission, the implementation, and the monitoring of projects funded mainly by the European territorial cooperation programs such as RED and the European Initiative, Horizon and LIFE. And sustainability is one of her main interests. She enjoys being part of our European network of policymakers, public officers, researchers, citizens, entrepreneurs, cooperating and exchanging knowledge in order to bring the European values into practice. Thank you very much for joining us. If you want to take control of the presentation, you should be able to do that. And I will give you the floor.
Good morning from Thessaloniki. As you can see in the map, we are in the south of Europe and in the north part of our country, Greece. We are a regional authority, so we represent the second degree of local authority, and we stand between the central government and the municipalities. And the region consists of 7 regional entities and 38 municipalities. And we're the second largest region in Greece, and we have 70% of the country's population. Our geographical area is quite critical because we're in the center of Balkans and in the way from the north to the south and from east to west. If you can scan this QR code, you can have a look at all the projects and initiatives that the Regional Development Fund has already participated. And our main role is to ensure growth, prosperity, and extroversion for the citizens of the region of Central Macedonia. And of course, with the energy crisis and energy poverty, which is affecting a very high percentage of the citizens in Central Macedonia, the new RED is quite crucial for us. And we are quite keen to see how we can put this new legislation into practice in our region. I want to start by showing you the building where our premises are. It's an historical listed building, and as we can see, it has changed many uses until now. It was built in the last century as a summer residence for a very rich family in Thessaloniki. And then it was a hospital, it was a university, it was a prison, and now it's the premises of a local authority. And the reason I'm showing you this building is because we tried to upgrade it environmentally, but we had many difficulties. So I want to highlight that the transition to more efficient buildings, it's quite difficult when you have listed and old buildings. But on the other hand, the region had the possibility to build a new, very big building in the other part of the city. And actually, this was the first bioclimatic building in northern Greece. And it has the largest geothermal installation in the country so far. And it applies innovative methods with combinators, with combinations of geothermal exchangers. And it's a smart building with a BMS system, and it has 70% energy savings compared to a typical building. Here, the users of the building, the public servants, they had to be trained in order how to use this building, because we had problems. Sometimes they wanted to override the BMS control and take power over the room's temperature, lighting, etc. So they had to be used in a more controlled environment. And there's also a planted area around the buildings of 300 square meters. And this contributes to thermal insulation and shading of the building. And because there are many citizens who visit this building in order to receive services from the public sector, it acts as a good example, because citizens can see how a bioclimatic building is in practice, how it works, and they could be inspired by us. It was mentioned before that financing is always a very critical issue in order to make transitions. And a lot of pressure is going to be put into local authorities. And the main financial instrument that the regions in Greece have are the regional operational program. In Greece, there are 13 regions. Each region has a regional development fund and the regional operational program. Right now, we're at the expiration of the programming period 14-20. And the ROP aims to address the needs and problems of the region, as well as to exploit all the possibilities and advantages. And what we try to do is to make the best use of all the funds, which come both from ERDF, from the European Regional Development Fund, and the European Social Fund, and to transform those fundings into projects for our citizens. And in the programming period that is ending now, there were over 500 projects co-financed. And hopefully there were many projects which had to do with the redevelopment of small squares with elements of bioclimatic design in the city of Thessaloniki. Unfortunately, Thessaloniki is a very high density build, and the ratio of open green spaces is very small. So what we try is to exploit every small square or voids in the urban tissue in order to make it useful for the citizens of the area, and also to have better climatic conditions. And another project that was funded by the ROP was the supply and installation of air pollution and other environmental parameters monitoring stations. because in order to design something, you need data, you need to monitor the existing situation, and you need to monitor after you apply the new measures. And we are very happy and proud that many schools had applied and got funding to plant their roofs, and also to redesign the school yards with bioclimatic features. And this also acts as a very good example and as a multiplier, because in public schools, there are many students who come there every day, and the students can act as multipliers to their families. So we hope that this action is going to be continued in the next programming period. And we hope that all the schools in Thessaloniki and in the region are going to adopt those kind of features. And as the colleagues mentioned before, in order to make the transition to a more sustainable future, we need the capacity of the people, because the legislation, its laws, its papers, in order to come into practice, we need people involved. And in order to build capacity, we try to be very extroverts. We participate in many EU-funded projects, territorial cooperation projects, Interreg projects, but also initiatives like Horizon, and also networks like the New European Bauhaus, the Circular Cities and Region initiatives, the Bio-Based Industries Consortium, the Smart Specialization Platform, the Interreg volunteer program. And through all those projects, which are on different sectors and different fields, some are directly linked to sustainability, some others are linked more to innovation, to cultural heritage, activating, etc. We try to build the capacity of the staff of the region and also to stimulate our stakeholders. And I wanted to highlight one of the initiatives, the New European Bauhaus. RDFCM has become a friend of the New European Bauhaus community. And the slogan, probably you know it, I like it very much. It's beautiful, sustainable, together. So beautiful means that it has to be aesthetically beautiful. Sustainable, we all understand what it means. And together means that everybody should be on board, with no exclusions. And the European Union is putting a lot of emphasis on the New European Bauhaus. And I think it's going to be quite critical, because it's very linked to the quality of life, of everyday life of the citizens in all aspects of their lives. And I think this is going to boost also the transition to sustainable energy use. Another project that I wanted to highlight is the Solar Hub project, which is an Horizon project, but Horizon Widera, and we collaborate with Turkey. And this is also quite interesting, because we try to have collaboration also with countries which are not part of the European Union, and try to find common ground for collaboration. And here we're trying to have a solar energy excellence hub with emphasis on agricultural applications and agrivoltaics. Part of this project is an energy community, Electra. And in collaboration with this energy community, we try to focus on just energy transition, just and inclusive for everybody. And energy communities, although are not so much in the culture of Greeks, they're becoming a very positive trend lately. And we hope to see them flourish in the future. And another aspect I wanted to highlight, it was mentioned before, is the behavioral change. Because we need to change our habits in order to embrace renewable energy sources and sustainability. And we were very lucky to participate in an Interreg Euro project, which was called eSmartTech. It had to do with sustainable urban mobility planning, but it focused on the marketing techniques and how you can have the citizens and all the relevant stakeholders on board, how we can co-plan actions and projects and activities. Because especially in the renewable energy source sector, there is the not in my backyard aspect. So we really have to convince citizens that a new installation is for the benefit of the community and for their benefit. And I think it's very useful to use marketing techniques. In the frame of this project, we have developed a handbook for successful tips on marketing techniques in order to have users' engagement and co-plan, because only if you co-plan an action, you can have the acceptance of the proposed plans by the communities. And we tried to help the 38 municipalities of our region, and we had capacity building events and workshops for the employees, the technical staff of the employees of the municipalities. Because skills is a very important issue, and right now the municipalities, they're very understaffed. And they also have to deal with the everyday obligations. So in order to be engaged in planning for the future, you need to give them incentives and also tools and skills. I have already highlighted some of the main challenges that we're facing during my presentation. So in Greece, the regions have no legislative power. So we have to rely on the central government and the ministries for all the legislative issues. And there are also problems in the energy retrofitting of old listed buildings, because then we have the FRAs of contemporary and modern monuments. We have very strict rules in order of what kind of measures you can apply on a listed building in order not to harm the aesthetics and the form of the building. And of course, the upskilling in technical staff and also engineers for the implementation of the new RED is very crucial. The European Union is aware of this lack of technical skills, and actually this year was the year of skills. And as a region, we're also trying very hard to see what the market and what the businesses need and respond to those needs. And I would like to thank everybody for the very useful presentations, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Crisanti. Thank you for the insights you provided also at the regional level. It's good to see that there is plenty of initiatives and projects as well, and that the regional funds are really stimulating and supporting the change. It's good also to have an overview of the involvement of the community and the fact that is needed also a behavioral change. This is very important to take in consideration. And thanks to you for accepting to be with us today. We have some time for going on with our Q&A session and the panel discussion. So if the speakers would like to switch on their cameras, maybe we can have some questions. And of course, from the audience, I was checking the chat, but for the moment, I don't see questions. But if you want to ask something to our speakers, please go on and feel free to put them in the chat. I have a couple of questions also maybe to ask in the meantime. Maybe I can start with you, Cristiani, from your presentation. So you show us that there are challenges that we need to overcome. And I wanted to ask you if you think that there are actually the tools to overcome these challenges at the moment, and what do you think about it? Thank you.
I think there are many tools, many platforms. There is a lot of information everywhere. But I think people need to change their behavior in their everyday lives, also in the way they work and in the way they live. As I said about the new building, which is a smart and energy efficient building, and the people need time to adapt in that building. So all the transitioning periods are quite difficult. And in the map of Europe that we have seen before that Melanie showed us, unfortunately, the biggest part of Europe is still red. Greece, unfortunately, is red. And I think that the cooperation between countries, between regions, between people like we're cooperating today is very crucial, because there are countries in Northern Europe and in Scandinavian countries, as Melanie said, which have this culture of co-designing and with district cooling, heating, also the way they treat waste, it's very much advanced. So we would benefit from their experience, and we should not try to reinvent the wheel, but try to adapt already successful solutions, but adapt them to the regional conditions.
Thank you very much for the answer. Passing to Vlatko, maybe to your presentation on the geothermal initiative. I don't know, maybe would you like to provide some more insights into the legislative consideration that needs to be addressed for the successful establishment of the energy independent city, like in your case, the city of Karlovac, through the geothermal initiative? Would you like to deep dive a little bit into that aspect?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, here in Croatia we have the main act is for the hydrocarbon and also for the mining industry. So it's slowly it's coming also with geothermal. Geothermal is the same like mining for the stone or for the coal and for the gas and oil. So I think that we need act only for geothermal, because we're going through the same procedures, like we want to oil and maybe gas, or to take a stone from the ground. And also we need to first to get this permit. Permit is about for 5 years, and we can even longer for the only 1 year. And in that time you need to go with all these permits, and we now have all of them, but we spend over, like I said, almost 3 years for them, and also they are costly. And if you're an investor and if you want to go with it, you don't know how much time you need to get another document on a permit from some agency or some ministry. So I think it's important to make this procedure easier, because we don't have time because of the funds. We don't also have time because of the prices of the fossil fuels. And also we have the citizens who want to go green, because everyone just think about green energy. And also we have the examples of this geothermal using in Hungary, Germany, and Italy. And just we want to be a part of this family. In Croatia, we have these few geothermal finished projects, and they are not public. They are private investors only. and they're doing the geothermal water for energy and for the electricity. So this is our project is public, and we want to use this heat for the citizens and doing for the heating. So is the main difference. So I think that project needs to be more in the focus of the state, and we need to get a more, like I said in the start, financial support, because for the city of Karlovac it's impossible to go alone. So it's impossible. But the benefits, it's not only for the Karlovac, but it benefits also for Croatia and also for the all European Union. Thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks to you, really. And just to passing to our other two speakers and maybe a deep dive also with them on some aspect. Emil, I just wanted to, but I just received also a question for you. So we can maybe starting from the chat. So Emil, you mentioned the share of the renewable in efficient heating and cooling needs to come from efficient CHP. If you want to give an overview about the differences between the regular CSP and the efficient CHP. Oops, I don't know if you can see the question in the chat.
Okay, let me see if I can see it. Is it the one? So I can see the one linked to heat pumps, right?
It's a little bit down. It just arrived. Otherwise, I can read it. It's the interest is about the differences between the regular CHP and the efficient CHP that you mentioned during your presentation. But otherwise, if you want, yeah.
Sorry, so you mean the targets for?
Yeah, exactly. When you mentioned the targets.
Okay, so maybe we can also put again the slide to better show the targets that we're mentioning.
Yeah, sure. Let me open it to you.
Because I guess that in such a short time could be quite confusing to have, all this target mentioned. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so maybe I'll go a bit back on it. So yeah, we have, as I was saying, different, quite different targets. That the most general one is the one dealing with. Okay, sorry. Yeah, dealing with the overall percentage of renewable heating of renewables in the final consumption. So I would say that this is a collective target to have renewable sources in the unit's gross final consumption, which is at least 42.5. So this is one target, and we're talking about all renewables. Then as regards the heating and cooling from renewable sources, again, this is another binding target. But this is put, let's say, in a different way, as we are talking about two different time slots, let's say. So the first one is to have an increase of 0.8 percentage point for the first 5 years, starting from 2021. And the second one is 1.1 percentage points for the next 5 years in 2026 to 2030. So I hope it's more useful maybe to clarify the targets and the different targets of the first target is about renewables in the final in the gross final consumption for energy. And the second one, we're talking about heating and cooling from renewable sources. So this is the difference. And then I also mentioned some other specific targets, which are linked to district heating and cooling. That we've also seen that with Melanie, that then the criteria change in terms of how to consider district heating and cooling efficient. And then a target for renewable energy in buildings and in industry. And again, here we have different kind of criteria, because the one on buildings is an overall target of having like 49% of renewable energy in the building sector, whereas for industry we're talking about an increasing of 1.6 percentage point in a granted period. So I hope it's a bit clear.
Thank you very much for the clarification, Emil. And I also just wanted to ask something to Melanie, because as you are working in energy cities close to the local authorities and the cities, I don't know if maybe you have some kind of example of measures that have been taken by the cities or the region to anticipate these new European provisions, or this a kind of a good example. And thank you.
Thank you. Yes, regarding the local heating and cooling planning, we do have best practice of what is already being done. We have best practice in the Netherlands, in Baden-Württemberg in Germany, where the region introduced mandatory local heating and cooling planning 2 years ago. So municipalities have to submit their plan by the end of this year. And beyond these legislative aspects, we also have best practice from other projects we have been involved in. There is a project Decap City Pipe that just ended with cities like Rotterdam, Munich, Dublin, also Bilbao, that produced their roadmap of decarbonization, their heating and cooling system. So there are good practices that are existing. And as Crisenti said, it's also good to transfer the knowledge from one city that are doing things to other cities. And last but not least, to react to the chat where someone mentioned that regarding progressive Nordic country, we should also take care of the source of energy that they are using. Just to be clear, that the countries that are in yellow or in green in the map I showed, it's not about the strategy they use and what kind of resources they will use, because this indeed has to be defined by local authorities depending on what they have available on their territory. Like in Karlovac, they really work with what they have. Geothermal is something very, very local. But it's on the map I presented, it's green or it's yellow, depending on if there is a good legislative framework, if there is a good support for cities to do this local heating and cooling planning. And in some states, like in Denmark, but not only, there is this good legal mandate for cities. There's this good support, technical support and financial support for cities to do so. So that's why we wanted to emphasize. But we're very much in favor of deciding what makes the most sense in terms of resources to use locally.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, I was also having a look at the chat, and there is Anna who commented that also in their country, and I think she's from Portugal, licensing is a bottleneck, and it's one of the most critical aspects to implement energy transition. So yeah, he's reflecting on what has been already said during our webinar from a lot of our speakers. And then there was someone mentioning the heat pump as well. I'm not sure if the question was to someone specific, but of course, in the package, legislative package of Fit for 55, heat pump sector is of course included, and there is a lot of attention also on this technology as a future source of renewable energy, both for heating and cooling. So I can say yes. And unfortunately, I'm seeing that we are running out of time. And so I will smoothly go through the end of our webinar. And thank you very much for joining us. I really hope that the public found interesting and useful the information I had. And of course, if you want to stay updated with the Ready for It project upcoming activities, you can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter. We have a website, or you can write an email to our general email of the projects. So please continue follow us on the social media and have a look at our sources. And me as EHPA, we are going to continue publishing and more events, and we organize webinars and workshops. So if you are interested also in different topics, feel free to connect and to follow our social media as well. So I guess we are at the end of our event. I really want to thank the speakers who have the chance to participate and to share their expertise and their knowledge. I really hope to see you soon again. It was a pleasure to share this space with you today. And thank you very much to all of you also for joining. Have a good rest of the day. And you will find all the materials very soon. I'm going to follow up with you with the recording, the slides, and we are going to publish an article summarizing everything. So we will be in touch again. Thank you, really.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.